Hi guys, my name is Brian, and the issue I'll be talking about today is the use of performance enhancing drugs amongst regular gym goers. Um, you guys might think that steroids and other performance enhancing drugs are only used by competitive bodybuilders, athletes, or celebrities and such, but the case is most of steroid users are actually just the regular people you find at your local gyms and fitness centers. So let's start out with what are performance enhancing drugs. They're used to improve activity performance in humans, and they are banned by WADA. Examples of them are anabolic steroids, which is probably the most popular form. Other forms are SARMs, human growth hormones, and testosterone. So, the health concerns of PED abuse is a very long list. These are some of the long term effects of PED abuse. They can range from damage to your reproductive organs, which may affect your fertility. There's also malfunctions with your kidney, liver, and heart that may occur. And it could affect your mental health, cause aggression, paranoia, and depression. They could also cause high blood pressure and high cholesterol. These health effects may in turn cause you to have an increased risk of having a stroke or a heart attack. So these are some of the side effects of using PEDs. It may also be a way for you to tell if someone is using PEDs. The first one is acne. Users of PEDs might experience very severe acne, whether it's on their face or a lot of times it's on their back. They experience very rapid muscle gain. A lot of times they're able to gain muscle in a very short period of time without gaining much fat. It's just lean muscle tissue. Men that uses PEDs can experience enlarged breasts. This condition is known as gynecomastia. And again, it can cause mental health concerns, and it can cause facial hair growth in women. So, as mentioned earlier, most of performance enhancing drug users are actually not professionals, but rather just the regular people that go to the gym. In the US alone, it is estimated that there are 3 to 4 million users of anabolic steroids. And in the gym setting, there's a whopping estimate of between 15 to 35% of gym goers using steroids. And then on top of that, 7% of high school students have admitted to using steroids. Now let's get into who is responsible for the problem. The first biggest reason that steroid use or performance enhancing drug use is so prevalent is social media. Social media has warped the perception of what is an attainable physique and what is not an attainable physique, which in turn has caused people to experience body dysmorphia. They're influenced to take PEDs to look a certain way to achieve a desirable look that's portrayed on social media. Their favorite content creators, for example, might not, most of the time actually, aren't natural athletes themselves, but they might portray it as such, or they can just not talk about their use of PEDs. Next is celebrities and athletes. Celebrities in particular uh, may have a desirable look or body that they've built, but fans need to know that they're paid millions and millions of dollars to play a certain role, to look a certain way. Chris Hemsworth, for example, he's played Thor, and many young adults and kids look up to him, but they need to realize the health risks that he's putting himself through by going on and off of steroid cycles. And lastly, peers are responsible for influencing others to take PEDs. I've heard stories at the gym where people would ask advice amongst each other about how to make progress, how to make gains in the gym. And they were introduced to use PEDs by people that they ask advice from. Moving on to the additional stakeholders of this problem. The first one I listed is supplement stores. The reason why I listed it is because I actually know of supplement stores that sells PEDs such as SARMs. I remember one day walking into the gym and I overheard a conversation between a group of what I perceive as also college students or high school students, but I overheard one kid saying how he hopped on SARMs and he was able to get it from a supplement store that was close by the gym that we were at. The next is the public school system. I've listed it there because the public school system should educate kids more about the use of performance enhancing drugs. There's data that show that up to 85% of adolescents do not know about the harmful effects of PEDs. Next is the FDA. They have the power to regulate what's considered safe and what's not. Next is doctors. Doctors, because they have the power to authorize prescriptions. And then finally, fitness centers, because they could play a role more in talking about the use of performance enhancing drugs. They could have posters or banners talking about performance enhancing drugs, just like how some of them have posters and advertisements about the harmful effects of vapes, for example. So there are several financial needs to address the problem. One is finding budget to incorporate steroid abuse education or PED abuse education in the school curriculum. The next is funding social media so that they can create awareness posts. And then next is funding for celebrity influencers or notable figures to advocate against PED abuse. The political context of the problem is, first is government regulations, next is public school system, the FDA, the USADA, and other addiction and substance abuse organizations. So these are some of the management skills needed to help mitigate this problem. First is technical skills. You need a manager to have extensive knowledge about the drugs itself and what they can do to the human body. Next is people skill, the ability to connect with other people on an intelligent and emotional level. Third is communication skills, being able to get points across clearly. Conceptual skills, being able to come up with a plan. And then 5, decisional making skills, choosing the best plan to implement. And then leadership skills, as mentioned earlier, the ability to connect with people on an intelligent and emotional level, so that you can influence their decision making. Next is holding people accountable and being able to give constructive criticism. You need a leader to not be afraid of doing the dirty work and really telling people what they need to hear, and as opposed to what they want to hear. Third is open-mindedness. They need to be aware that everybody is dealing with different circumstances, and like other drugs, PED use can be addicting. They might be using it for different reasons, so leader need to be open-minded about that. And then fourth is being positive and being able to see the best in others despite their circumstances. Ways to address the problem. First thing that we can do is make mandatory lessons in school. We can make PED abuse become a part of the high school education curriculum. And the driving factor that school needs to understand is that there are more users of steroids than heroin, yet in my high school experience, harmful drugs such as heroin, cocaine, and marijuana were talked about way more extensively than PEDs. Next is implementing social media posts, having educational pages, posts, informative videos, or posts about the damaging effects of PEDs, and also have anti-PED ads and pop-ups, target people that browse fitness pages or fitness apparel pages. Next is placing anti-PED posters in the gym and fitness centers, mentioned earlier in the presentation. We see that a lot with vape or cigarettes, but we don't really see that with PEDs. And then finally, having celebrities or athletes or just notable people hold seminars and just talk about the harmful effects of PEDs. It could be either people that have experience with using PEDs or people that just have extensive knowledge about that subject. So the proposal timeline: the mandatory school lessons can incorporate a 1-week study of PEDs in the health curriculum. Implementing social media posts, we can have a page that posts daily. Placing PED posters in the gyms. We can have new and updated posters every month for the gyms that allow us to put the posters up. And then having celebrity and athlete seminars. We can have bi-monthly events to have celebrities and athletes talk about the negative effects of PEDs, whether they've had experience using it themselves or they just have a lot of knowledge about it. So these are the recommendations that I found would directly impact the local community. First would be to create awareness posts on social media, and along with that, we can ask for donors to help raise our funding. And then next, we would speak with the Board of Education for each county of Maryland to implement substance abuse in their curriculum, specifically for PEDs. Next would be to ask around the local gyms and health clubs if they would allow us to put a flyer or a poster in their gym, just so that it creates awareness.